Good morning, Santa Clarita. You're listening to AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond The Courtroom. So excited to talk to you today. On the board is Peter. Peter, how are you today?
Good morning, Wade. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. We week number 2.
I'm
Mike
awake.
I'm
awake.
Mike is still on vacation, so thank you for helping me today.
Thank you. No problem.
Yeah. Your help today actually is kind of in alignment with what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be having sort of a teamwork episode today. So to get going with that a little bit, and we're going to have a really special guest as well. But are you familiar with the football coach Bill Walsh, Peter?
49ers.
Yes, 49ers coach of Joe Montana. Yeah, exactly.
Amateur.
Yeah, right. I've heard of him. Right. So Bill Walsh was commonly known as like the genius of football coaches, right? But every year he started his training camp with the exact same speech. Okay. And the speech that he said was basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, every single one of you guys on the team is going to have at least one chance to help us win a game. And he says, I want you to prepare for that opportunity because it's not if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And then he would ask them a question. He would ask them, can you do that for me? Now, the reason why that's important to our topic today, we're going to be talking a little teamwork, is because Bill Walsh said that he didn't say, hey, only the starters are going to be important, he said every single guy on the team. Right? Because he realized that when you have an endeavor that you're working on together, that teamwork, every single person is important. Every job is important. For instance, in this radio show, I could not have this radio show without your assistance on the board.
And I could not have anything without you.
Without my strong on-air personality talent, right? That buoys the ship forward, if you will.
It brings in paychecks and a life and things that I require in order to have sustenance and wealth in my world, so I appreciate that.
No, of course. So we all need each other, right? And the important thing is that he realized, he also asked them a question, says, will you basically do that for me, putting the responsibility on each individual of his team. Now, I actually learned that from a book. I read that from a book. There are things called books out there. Are you aware of that?
Very much so. I'm a proud book reader. I can read, and I sound like I can read, I hope, because I like books.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't get that from a tweet or from a Vine or from a blog. That's something that someone put out there at 3 a.m. Someone actually took a few months to write that book, and because I believe that you can learn from almost anything. You can learn from a tweet, I guess, as well. But so I'm really fired up to talk about this topic today, because are you familiar with what a paralegal is, Peter?
I am familiar, but I am not well versed.
Okay.
I'm ready to learn.
Perfect. Well, what a paralegal is a professional who performs legal work which a lawyer is ultimately responsible for. So if I use a paralegal, then I am responsible for the work that the paralegal does. Now, a regular person can use a paralegal, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But one thing I want people to understand is that paralegals are a very important part of a team in terms of for trial preparation, for motion practice. So they're just as important as the lawyer, because I only have 24 hours in the day. Do you have more than 24 hours in the day?
Yes, but it's a bit of a
space-time continuum issue that you don't want to get into? Okay,
yeah.
Great. Well, so there are certain tasks that I don't have time to do, so I can have a paralegal help me with that, and then I can become a more effective lawyer. Now, the key, what a lot of people don't understand about a paralegal is that 3 things. One is that the actions of a paralegal may be legally binding upon when they act on a case. So if a paralegal was to send a letter, or a paralegal was to maybe consent to something, because they're the agent of a lawyer, they can actually do things that are legally binding. The second thing is that they may be liable for damages, meaning if they...
That would be bad.
Yeah, if they act inappropriately, the lawyer can basically have to be responsible for those damages. And the third thing is that the lawyer is responsible when he uses a paralegal for the work that they do. So if they mess up, the lawyer can actually suffer the consequences of that through sanctions. You could have an issue with your license. So the reason why I like to go through that kind of a description is because it's incredibly important when you're an attorney, if you use a paralegal, that you get a good one and that you get one that you can trust.
Yes, sounds like there's a lot of responsibility in paralegaling.
Absolutely. And just like, the head coach is the person responsible of a football team, and when the football team loses, all the blame resides on the head coach, the same thing is true in my line of work. If I'm using a paralegal and they mess up, I'm ultimately the person that pays the price.
Nice.
So it's really important to me that when I use a paralegal, or that when I basically communicate a task to them, that we are crystal clear. And I'm like from A Few Good Men all of a sudden. Are we clear? Crystal, yes. That they understand exactly what it is that's going on. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to bring an owner, after we're going to take a break here in a little bit, but I wanted to bring an owner of Freelance Paralegal Services, who is a good friend of mine. His name is David Gonzalez, and he basically owns a paralegal business. He is a paralegal himself, and what we're going to do is we're going to chat a little bit about that, because all of the things that I've talked about are really, really important, but also that what most people don't understand is that lay people, normal people, can use paralegals for certain tasks that they want to try to do in the legal system. So when we come back, we're going to talk to David Gonzalez. I am Wade Skalsky. This is Wade Beyond the Courtroom, and you're listening to AM 1220 KHTS, your hometown station. Welcome back, Santa Clarita. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom. Well, I'm really excited to bring on our guest, David Gonzalez, the owner of Freelance Paralegal Services. David, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Wade. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Not too bad.
Good. So did I do a good job of describing sort of the general definition of a paralegal? How did I do on that?
I'd say it was perfect. It's pretty close to what they do on a day-to-day.
Absolutely. Now, you own a paralegal services business, and how long have you had that business?
We started in 2007. And we're still going strong.
Okay, great. So what kind of work do you do? Like, let's say a normal person says to themselves, okay, I have a legal issue. What type of legal issue can a regular layperson come to you for help with?
Quite a bit, actually. We, in the business, do estate planning, family law, business formation, and a little bit of litigation work, so like complaints and answers.
Okay. So, and I'm assuming that you partner with attorneys when you need legal advice or need issues help with on the legal side, but then on the document preparation side, that's when you work closely with your clients, basically, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, we have to take everything at their direction if we're working directly with them, but there are situations where we do defer to attorneys or even refer to attorneys if a situation gets to need it.
Okay. Now, what are some of the advantages of going to let's say a paralegal first instead of going to an attorney?
Well, the main advantage obviously is going to be cost. You're paying hourly for an attorney. Our services are flat rate, and obviously also time is a big thing. A lot of people don't have the time to prepare their own paperwork, so they come to a service like ours, and we do all the preparation and the filing for them.
Gotcha. And that's in terms of if someone, like, let's say if they were going to have an uncontested divorce, for example, is that something that you could help people with, or?
Yeah, it's important to clarify. We mainly handle uncontested divorces, situations where attorney advice or attorney representation isn't required. So, definitely uncontested divorces, incorporating, setting up a trust. Those things normally don't require an attorney to, advise you specifically on anything.
Well, and also too is that you're not able to give legal advice, number one, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we can't give legal advice. What we're allowed to do is to provide people with published information. So, we kind of help them make an informed decision on things, but we can't specifically say, hey, Joe, file this, or hey, Joe, do this kind of document.
Right. You're kind of like what I wish I had in school when I had to do a term paper or something. You would be like, here are the places that you can look for the information on your paper, and you can go write your paper, basically.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
Exactly it.
Now you can give career advice, though. I'm assuming, Peter, are you looking for some career advice right now, or are you okay?
I'm always looking for career advice, life advice, especially paralegal advice. I mean, can you give that instead of legal advice? I guess that
no.
No.
You don't give career advice either, David?
No, we give career advice, but I can't. So he meant paralegal advice as in advice on being a paralegal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, too fast for you.
I think we're making. Sometimes we do joke around on the show. It doesn't. I don't know if does that qualify as a joke, Peter?
I'm understanding that now.
Now it's right. We have some joke work to do, I think, when we get off on the break. But okay, David. So, and then you're also a businessman too. So, because obviously you own the business. What are some of the things that you've learned in running your own business, being a small businessman in this field?
It's difficult. I think like anything else, you have to first be good at what you do before you can do it on your own. And that's definitely important. One of the great things that I've had the pleasure of doing is employing people. And that's a really great feeling, is having someone rely on you for a job and at the same time having someone who, is helping you. So that's always a great feeling.
Well, and I think too, when you have people that work with you, and I think you have a very similar philosophy that I do, is that, the people that work with you, you're all part of a team together. And much like I said in the intro to the show, is that every person's job on the team is important, and we can't get that job done without everyone doing the best that they can. We all rely upon each other.
That's very true. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I couldn't have done without, a professional staff. And I think that goes for attorneys too. They can't, like you said earlier, they can't be everywhere at once, so it's important to have someone helping. Obviously.
Well, Peter can be everywhere at once. He has some sort of grip on the space-time continuum, but other than Peter, you're correct. Everybody else cannot do that for sure.
You'd be surprised how many people are inquiring about the space-time continuum.
I
could use some paralegal assistance with that.
That's right.
In publishing some really awesome material that would shake the core of humanity.
I love it. Now, David, how did you become a paralegal?
Interesting story, actually. At the time, I worked at a donut shop right out of high school, and I saw an ad for an administrative assistant, went in and found out that it was basically a service just like the one that I run now. It was a document preparation service. And, after working there for a while, realizing what we could do, I found it really interesting and ended up going to school for it and managing that office.
Well, I think there's a book in there somewhere, from donut shop to business owner, sort of like an American Dream kind of book.
You just gave me the title.
That's a long title, though. I don't know. Maybe we can think of something else. Donuts to documents.
Donuts to documents.
That's it.
That's
money.
Book gold right there. And don't just promise me what you're going to do. Though is you'll write a book on it, and you will not do a tweet or a Vine on it. Donuts to documents. Now. I don't know.
You can advertise with the tweets and the vines.
That's true.
We
want some time on donuts and documents. Okay, great. Now, David, so your website is freelanceparaservices.com. And do you have locations in town here?
We don't. What we do is we actually have, we call them agents. So we have someone in Venice, someone in Torrance, and primarily everything that we do for the public is done online. So it's amazing how technology works nowadays, is we can have clients anywhere in California, and they can sign their documents right on their computer, and then the courts allow it, and it's legal, and it's really great.
Well, great. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you. When we come back from the break, we're going to chat a little bit more about that really unusual business model that you have, and also a little bit more about how you can become a paralegal. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and you are listening to Wade Beyond the Courtroom. This is KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. Welcome back, Santa Clarita. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. I am Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom. David, are you still with me?
Still here, Wade.
Awesome. So I love your business model. So basically, if someone wants to find you, they just go and find you online. And what is that website again?
It's www.freelanceparaservices.com.
Okay, so anyone in the state of California can actually use your services, and you basically, if they're in the LA area, you have agents that can go to them, but you can also help someone if they're in NoCal or they're somewhere else, like San Diego.
Yeah, we give them the option. The majority of people like to just do it from home. It's really simple and quick. Others like to meet up, and, we offer both.
Okay. So now there's a really interesting exception to paralegals being able to act in ways that an attorney will act. What is that exception?
In workers' compensation cases, actually. A lot of people don't know about it, but an attorney can send a paralegal to a hearing, and they can represent the client.
Now, my experience, and I don't know if you know this, but I actually, I've done some work as an adjunct professor. I've actually taught paralegals in a paralegal course how to become paralegals. And I tell them that in some instances, paralegals will have a greater knowledge than lawyers in some instances in a certain area because they do all the work over a long period of time. So, for instance, in a workers' comp paralegal, if that's all they do, and let's say they've been a workers' comp paralegal for 20 years.
That makes sense.
Yeah, preparing documents, doing everything. They will have a breadth of knowledge that will be greater for sure than if I was to ask them something, because I don't do any workers' comp work at all. So a paralegal, and this is again coming back to the teamwork philosophy, is if you value every member of your team and you can take a chance to look at, okay, what does this person know, and don't get caught up in titles, it's a huge resource for you. Has that been your experience as well, David?
Definitely. I mean, in that situation, you're sending a paralegal down to represent a client, so that's definitely some teamwork right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, and after that paralegal does 100 of those hearings, that person's going to have a breadth of knowledge and experience that's going to be a great asset to the attorney and to obviously the client as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've had situations myself where I've had, some big time attorneys that I consider big time attorneys that work in only one field of law, and they come to me to do their divorce, and that's just because, attorneys don't know every single field of law. They focus on one, and a paralegal like myself that's working with a lot of different ones, we can definitely help them with the ones they don't know about.
And just to be clear, the big time anonymous attorney that you're referring to is not me.
No.
Yes, I'm very happily married.
Time,
so to my wife,
you.
Kristen, if you're listening, David is not talking about me. We are fine. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, have you ever thought about becoming an attorney, David?
I have. I've actually at one point started studying for it, and I always come back to being a paralegal. It's interesting. I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years, and definitely within that time span, I could have finished law school and taken the bar, but. At the end of the day, it's just something about being a paralegal. Maybe it is the teamwork aspect that, we help attorneys so much and we help the public so much that I really like it, and I've stayed in it.
Well, I think that's so important that you like what you do. I mean, some people, they have this idea that, hey, I'm gonna go be an attorney because it seems like the right thing to do. We're all told, hey, go be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. But the fact that you found something that you enjoy, that you have a passion for, that you enjoy to help people, that's fantastic. I always tell people too. My paralegal students, when I taught paralegals, as an adjunct professor. Almost all of them, if not all of them, were smart enough to go be lawyers. It's not mutually exclusive that just because someone's a paralegal doesn't mean that they can't be a lawyer. I think some people actually just really enjoy the work. I mean, that's fantastic.
Definitely, yeah. I plan on doing it for the rest of my life if I can.
Well, I think the business owner aspect of it too probably helps for what you enjoy to do in that as well.
Yeah, I think, one of the most fun ways to operate as a paralegal, in my opinion, is to be a freelance paralegal. You're not tied down to one firm or one place, and you're helping more people at a time, more cases, I think.
Excuse me. And I think another thing as well is that, at least for me, being able to work for myself, is I can be kind of more picky with the clients that I take. The fact that I have my own business, I don't get... I don't have to take every single thing that comes in the door. So I'm really only working with people that I like to take. Do you have that same experience as well?
That sounds nice.
Right.
It is nice, yeah. I am able to, say to someone, and a lot of the time this is the case, is I send people out to attorneys. If I don't do, a lot of people call me for conservatorships. I don't do that. And so I send them out to, an attorney that I know that does it.
What is
usually colleagues, that I've known for a while.
That's a good question. Peter was asking, what is that, a conservatorship?
Conservatorship is when an individual is asking the court for permission to handle basically the estate of another individual because they can't do it for themselves.
So another example of that is it's not necessarily a conservatorship, but like a juvenile, sometimes a court will appoint what's called a guardian ad litem for a juvenile. So it's you have to have an attorney involved for something like that. That's not something that a paralegal could do. I'm 42 years old. I kind of wish I could get an appointed court representative to be my guardian ad litem. I think that would assist me with some of my life choices. But well, that's fantastic, David. And in terms of now with the business itself, are you ever thinking about expanding to other states? Are you really thinking about sticking to California? What's your future plans?
Well, ideally, we would want to kind of expand eastward, so like Nevada, New Mexico, Texas. So those are things that are in the works. But obviously, it's important to note that every state is different. So we would basically be learning law in every state for each service.
Well, I can tell that you're a businessman because in my head, I would want to expand westward to Hawaii. So, and I would be like, well, my plan would be to expand westward to Hawaii and maybe just sort of go back and forth between Hawaii and California. Some of those eastward states, although I'm sure they're fine, right now the weather is not cooperating as much with them as they would wish, I'm sure.
That's what I hear. Yeah, there's some places getting snow right now.
Well, listen, just remember when you are dominating the country to remember the little people out here in Santa Clarita. We really appreciate you coming on today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Wade. I appreciate it.
And when you get the donuts and documents published, I expect Peter and I both expect some level of royalties. All right.
You guys will be mentioned in there. Don't worry.
Okay, great. Well, we've been talking with David Gonzalez. If you want to find him, he is on www.freelanceparaservices.com. And I really appreciate you coming in today, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, great. So, Peter, that was exciting. We
learned a lot today.
We came up with a book title, which was good.
Yeah.
I think I want to steal that now. Is that protected?
I think that's your job is to protect.
I'm going to run down to the trademark office right now and do that.
I bet you he's already there.
He's probably already he has filed the documents and electronically filed them by now. He's that quick. He's that fast. Great. Well, listen, we had a great show today, Peter. I do appreciate you and all the teamwork. Now, I think you were going on a vacation next week or something, or
no? That would be cool. Maybe. It's gonna be Mike though.
Mike's coming back from vacation.
Mike's coming back, and I get his vacation.
That's right.
We trade.
That's right. Well, listen, the cage match is always open. If you want to challenge Mike in open combat for the right to do the board, that's available.
I would do that for I would do that just for sport because that would be a great. That'd be amazing.
Well, I'm going to tell Mike when we get back. So, well, again, thank you so much for helping me on the board today. What a great teammate you are. And I am attorney Wade Skalsky. You're listening to Wade Beyond the Courtroom. This is AM 1220 KHTS. Stay safe this week, and we'll talk soon.